Welcome to the Highlight Spiel. We're back with our Week 2 college football preview show, previewing the upcoming action in Week 2 of the college football season. The new AP poll came out this week, and Alabama's number 1, Ohio State number 2, Clemson number 3, Penn State number 4, Oklahoma number 5,
USC number 6, Washington number 7, Michigan number 8, Wisconsin number 9, and Florida State at number 10.
Then 11th is Oklahoma State, 12th LSU, 13th Auburn, 14th is Stanford, and Georgia at 15.
16th is Miami, 17th Louisville, 18th Virginia Tech, 19 Kansas State, and 20 Washington State.
21 was South Florida, 22 Florida, 23 TCU, Notre Dame coming into the polls at 24, and Tennessee remains at 25. What's your opinions on the polls that came out this week? What do you think? New teams in there. You got Notre Dame jumped in there, TCU jumped in there. Tennessee stayed at the same spot despite getting a win. I guess it wasn't all that impressive. Florida drops to 22, Virginia Tech up to 18, Clemson up to number 3. Florida State remains in the top 10 over there at 10th. What's your opinion on most of the changes?
It looks pretty good, other than TCU being in the top 25.
You don't think they're gonna deserve it? You don't think they deserve it right now?
They'll drop out after next week.
They got a tough game this week against the SEC opponent in Arkansas. Big 12's really struggled so far. Got a chance to make a statement though, going up against the SEC. And to me, I think Notre Dame, it's a little early to put them in there. Maybe I'm not quite sold on them just yet. I don't know. They could beat Georgia this week, I guess. Jacob Eason is out for that game, but I'm really just not sold on Notre Dame yet. Some other things to talk about is Florida dropping to 22. That's a pretty big drop there, but meaningful. I think if they don't find an offense, they may drop out completely in the next week or two. So
no offense at all.
Yeah, it's hard to say. With Florida State dropping out, Clemson moves up to 3 there. I like what I've seen from Clemson so far. I think they're deserving of that third rank in defending national championship. So you gotta respect them, give them their props. Overall, can't really argue with much in the top 25, except for maybe Notre Dame and, like you said, TCU maybe. Let's talk about the games coming up this week and preview these games, and we'll make our picks here. Florida State, Miami, and Central Florida, all their games have been canceled and postponed due to Hurricane Irma. But some of the games that are being played, you got number 1 Alabama versus Fresno State. Who do you got?
Alabama.
I think it's a no-brainer. We're both going Alabama. I'm going Alabama too here in this one. Alabama's a force to be reckoned with. It's yet to be seen if anybody's gonna beat these guys. And it's not gonna be Fresno State, I'll tell you that. Alabama's gonna run away with this one.
Yep.
Pitt going on the road to take on number 4 in the country, Penn State, a team I've really liked a lot and I've been a big fan of. What do you think here?
Penn State.
He's going with Penn State as well.
Too much Saquon Barkley.
Yeah. It's a rivalry game, both in the same state. A lot of things can happen. Pitt might make it a closer game than people expect, but I expect Penn State to come out with a W, of course, and pull away at the end. Probably 10, 14-point win there is what I'm expecting for Penn State. Then Montana going on the road to take on Washington.
Oh, Washington, definitely.
Yeah, definitely Washington as well. Top 10 team in Washington, Montana coming in. Probably going to be big margin
win,
there. A big margin there. And then Cincinnati going on the road to take on number 8 Michigan.
Michigan's defense looked real good last week, so I'm going to have to go with Michigan.
I agree. Cincinnati just doesn't have enough. Michigan's defense definitely has the boys to go in there and shut them down. And I think that's what they'll do, and Michigan will get the win. Then you got Lane Kiffin is taking over at Florida Atlantic, and they're coming in on the road there to Madison to take on number 9 Wisconsin. Who do you like in that one?
The Badgers.
Yeah, Lane Kiffin's got some guys, but not enough to beat Wisconsin. I don't think yet.
It's in Wisconsin.
It's at Wisconsin on the road. Definitely, I'm gonna go with the Badgers as well. Wisconsin here, and then possibly another laugher, South Alabama going on to number 11 Oklahoma State.
Yeah, Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State. That's consensus here from both of us. Chattanooga going on the road to Baton Rouge and taking on LSU.
LSU.
Yep. The Tigers get it done, LSU. And then another game, finally a top 25 matchup to talk about here. Number 15, Georgia, playing without Jacob Eason. Jake Fromm taking over there as the backup while Eason's out. They said he will be back. It wasn't a season-ending injury, but I don't think he's going to play in this game. And they're taking on Notre Dame, coming off a big 49-16 win over Temple last week. Brian Kelly's on the hot seat. Needs a win here. It's at home in South Bend. Who do you like?
I'm going to go with old Brian Kelly and Notre Dame.
Wow, a little bit of an upset there. Number 24 over number 15. He's taking Notre Dame over Georgia. I think Notre Dame may have a better team this year. I like their run defense in the first week, and I like their running game in the first week. But, like I said earlier, I'm just not sold on them yet. I think Georgia, even with Jake Fromm at quarterback, has enough with Nick Chubb and the other horses to get it done, and I like Georgia here. And then Louisville going on the road into Chapel Hill to take on the Tar Heels. Tar Heels coming off a loss to Cal in week 1. Probably going to be angry about that. Louisville may be as well angry with their performance, even though they got the win against Purdue. A lot of people expect them to win that by more, only won it by 7. Who do you like here?
Louisville, Lamar Jackson, too much.
Yeah, the reigning Heisman winner. I think this is going to be a closer game than people expect. I think Carolina's going to be hungry, but like he says, the reigning Heisman winner, Lamar Jackson. I'm going to have to go with Louisville for my pick. And then Delaware going on to take on your team there, Virginia Tech, who's moved up to number 18 in the polls. You going with the Hokies?
Of course.
As much as it pains me, I got to pick the Hokies here too, going up against Delaware. But Virginia Tech for me. And then Charlotte comes into Manhattan to take on Kansas State. Who you going with in that one?
Oh, Kansas State. They got, I forgot his name.
Jesse Ertz?
Yeah, I was going to say Jesse Wright. But yeah, Jesse Ertz, yeah. They got him. They're not going to be able to stop him.
Jesse Ertz, one of the better rushing quarterbacks in college football. Last week showed he can throw it just as good, throwing for over 300. And I think Kansas State comes out and wins this one handily as well. Boise State, a team that's in the past has been one of the more dominant teams in college football. They're kind of down right now, but they do have the potential to always upset someone, and they're going on the road to take on a top 25 team and going on to take on number 20 Washington, Mike Leach's squad. Who do you like, Boise State at Washington State?
Washington State, yeah. Mike Leach going to have his boys ready on offense. I don't know about the defense, but the offense will be ready.
I think that it'll be a close game. I think Boise State's going to come in there and battle. That's what they're known for. That's what they do, is they upset people and they get wins. But they're not going to get this win. Washington State's going to take this one, number 20 in the country, and they may move up in the polls next week. Number 21, South Florida. A lot of people want to talk about last week. They kind of struggled a little bit more than people expected against Stony Brook in Charlie Strong's first game, but they got the win, and that's what matters. They're going on the road this week, though, to take on Connecticut. Who do you like, South Florida and Connecticut?
South Florida.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna agree with you, my friend. I'm gonna have to go with South Florida too. Charlie Strong's gonna start off 2-0 here. And then you got number 23 TCU going on the road to take on an SEC team. Big chance for the Big 12 here to make a statement after struggling in Week 1. They can beat an SEC squad, who's known as the best conference in college football, arguably. And TCU number 23 at Arkansas. Who do you like?
The Razorbacks is the upset. Razorbacks.
Well, a little upset pick from him going with the Arkansas there. I'm going to have to say TCU gets it done. I think that the Big 12 needs a win, and TCU's going to provide it. Kenny Hill looks good in that Week 1, and Cavante Turpin at receiver there really looking great too now that he's back, and he's a speedster, and I think they got enough to outscore Arkansas in their old school SEC attack. Indiana State at number 25 Tennessee. You think Tennessee's going to get it done here?
Yeah, I think they'll blow them out for sure.
Yeah, I have to go with the Volunteers here as well. It's going to be an easy one. And then the 3 big games of the week, the ones everybody wants to talk about. We got number 14 Stanford going in a Pac-12 matchup on the road to USC. Big-time game here early in the season already. Who do you like in this one?
Stanford. USC had problems with Western Michigan last week, and if Sam Darnold don't get it figured out, then Stanford's going to run away with it.
Yeah, I think Stanford's got a really great chance to win this. That running back Love had a great week last week. Looks impressive. That offensive line looks impressive. Defense is always stout. But I think USC's got too much in the tank. I like Ronald Jones a lot at USC. He's one of the best running backs in the country, in my opinion. And I think Sam Darnold's going to really have a bounce-back week this week, and they're going to get it done against Stanford. I like USC. Then number 13, Auburn, goes on the road to take on Clemson. Big matchup here. Who do you like in this one? Auburn, going with the upset pick. They're going to take down the national champs second week of the season, you think?
Mm-hmm.
You like that? You like
Yeah.
Jared Stidham and those guys down there?
I don't know. Kelly Bryant had never proved himself in a big game yet. It's one of his biggest games of his career so far. So we'll see how he handles the spotlight.
That's true. I like that pick. I think it's possible. Gus Malzahn runs a great offense. Auburn could possibly do something there. Jared Stidham, the transfer quarterback from Baylor, looking good, and I think that they could pull a shocker. But I'm going to have to go with the Tigers, though. Defending national champ's going to go ahead and start off 2-0. Kelly Bryant, like you said, this is going to be his first time big game atmosphere, but I think he's going to handle it well. And he may, be the difference in this one, really, his legs. Because I think Clemson's defense looks possibly even improved from last season. And this is going to be the test right here that's going to show us if that's true or not, going against an offense like Gus Malzahn's. But I think the defense is going to prove that they are improved and even better. And the defense is going to be the difference, and Clemson gets it done. And then you got number 5 in the country, Oklahoma, going on the road to take on number 2, Ohio State. Biggest matchup of the week. Who do you like and why?
Oklahoma, 2 words. Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I agree with that. That makes me smile when we actually agree on something there for once. But, yeah, I'm going to go Oklahoma here too. Just for the simple fact, I think Ohio State's great. I think that they have a great team. J.K. Dobbins, that freshman running back, looked really good in week 1. Their offense is going to be able to score and move the ball on the ground. My thing is, I've never been sold on J.T. Barrett as a passer, and in week 1 he struggled a little bit again, and I think that Oklahoma is going to make him try and throw the ball, crowd the box, make him beat them passing, and he's going to maybe have some big plays, yes, but I think he's going to make a few mistakes that are the difference in the game, because Oklahoma's offense is going to score for sure, with Baker Mayfield, like you said, maybe the best player in the country, and I like Oklahoma as well. All right, speaking of all these games, let's talk about who you're putting on upset alert this week.
Clemson.
Putting Clemson on upset alert against Auburn. Obviously, he picks Auburn, but
because Kelly Bryant never been in the spotlight and never played a big game in his career. So
you expect them to kind of rely on the running game a little bit more, maybe some shorter passes, just trying to get him.
Against the SEC, a big old tough SEC defense. They're not going to be able to do too much running.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that the Clemson offense is going to be. It's usually innovative, and they find ways to move the ball against anybody. I mean, you've seen against Alabama, they've had shootouts against those guys who are usually defensive battles. But yeah, true. But I think this year's squad's not missing a beat, really. That defense looked stout in week 1. But I guess this is the test. I mean, this is the test right here.
Yeah.
You're right. This is the test right here. So, Clemson on upset alert for you.
What you got?
My team on upset alert I'm going with this week is Louisville. Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, great. Best player in the country, all around. Reigning Heisman winner. Had over 350 yards passing in week 1, over 100 yards rushing. But my thing is they just rely on Lamar Jackson so much. If a team can come in there and shut him down, they need to show me some other horses that they can run. You know what I'm saying? They need to have another guy that can carry the ball, so Lamar Jackson doesn't have to have 100 yards rushing every game and have 15 to 20 carries. Take a little load off him so you don't get him injured or have somebody just game plan against him and then shut you down. And I think UNC is going to come in there hungry after losing to Cal last week, and they got the transfer QB from LSU, Brandon Harris, in there, and they got a chance to upset these guys for sure. I think that Louisville's on upset alert. Let's talk about some X Factors. Our first edition of the X Factor of the week this week could be a team, coach, player, anything that you think could be the X Factor and determine the outcome of a game. And who's your X Factor of the week for week 2?
Sam Darnold. If they want to beat Stanford, he's got to have a hell of a better game than he had against Western Michigan. He didn't even have a touchdown. He's definitely got to have a touchdown to beat Stanford. Yeah, if USC wins, Sam Darnold, you've got to say, he's definitely going to play a big part. The Ronald Jones is a great running back there, but he's not going to beat him single-handedly. For USC to get the W, Sam Darnold has to play like the Sam Darnold everyone expects him to be and knows that he can play like. What about your X Factor?
My X Factor of the week, I talked about it a little bit earlier, is the Clemson defense. And more specifically, the Clemson run defense, going against that Gus Malzahn offense who loves to run the ball, run quick plays, a lot of time and stuff, and just get you going. I've seen him before. He'll run the same play 2 or 3 times in a row, just get it going so fast that you're in the same formation, you can't even get set up, and he's just running it right up the gut on you. So the Clemson defense that looked very stout, in week 1, has to be able to stop the Auburn run game. for them to win this game. So I think Clemson's defense is the X factor. If they can stop Auburn, I think their offense will definitely be able to score, and Clemson's defense is the X factor to me. And then let's talk about the Heisman candidates that can help themselves the most this week. Our first edition of this little segment where we're going to talk about, it's kind of we like to call campaign which Heisman candidate from our recap show, our previous recap show, your Heisman Watch Top 5, which candidate can help themselves the most this week and help their campaign the most this week? Who do you got for your first one this the Week 2 edition?
Lamar Jackson. He had a close game with Purdue last week, and he's probably trying to shake it off and blow North Carolina out the waters.
Yeah, he can. If he has a performance where he comes out and blows them out, I think that could definitely help his stock a lot, for sure. Because a lot of people are expecting this to be a closer game, especially with how the game went with Purdue last week. And people would definitely argue that North Carolina is a better team than Purdue is. So a lot of people are excited to see what's going to happen here. Is Louisville going to come out hungry, or is it going to be a dogfight with North Carolina? My Heisman candidate who can help themselves the most this week, I'm going to say Baker Mayfield. Just because it's a top 5 matchup. They're taking on the number 2 team in the country, Ohio State. If he comes out there and has a big game and gets a win for Oklahoma, huge statement win for the conference, for the team, and definitely for his Heisman candidacy. He's up there right now, I think, in the top 3 of the Heisman, you can argue, but he's definitely in the 5, I believe. But he comes out there, throws 300 yards, 3 touchdowns or something on Ohio State, then that's really going to help his Heisman. He helped it a lot last week, having only 1 incompletion and 3 touchdowns. But I think that if he comes out and has a game similar to that, with a high completion rating and a lot of touchdowns and no interceptions against a team like Ohio State, then that's really going to open eyes and people are going to be talking Heisman.
He'll probably have a pick or 2.
It's hard to say, I think that Ohio State's going to be a lot tougher. I wouldn't be surprised. I'll say 1 interception for him.
I say 2.
I say 1. But we'll see what happens, and we'll recap it all on our Week 2 college football recap show coming up after all the action. Starts tonight at 8 o'clock, Friday night. Oklahoma State plays tonight. We both went with Oklahoma State in that one. We'll see who was right, and we'll get to recapping it all on our recap show after the action. Appreciate you guys for being with us. I'm Jordan.
I'm Fletch.
This has been the Highlight Spiel brought to you by Trio 4 Productions. Thank you.
Thank you.